being in tune with our body and hearing those physiological indicators gives us more information. It gives us more tools. And when we trust in the information coming from our own body, well, then we make better choices. We make more informed choices.
Welcome back to the You Need a Counselor podcast. This is a show presented by Heart and Solutions Counseling Agency. We release new episodes every Sunday at 5 p.m. Central and encourage you to batch up that laundry, put away the dishes, plan for the week ahead, or do any other task that might seem daunting while you give our show a listen. You might just be encouraged to call your therapist, connect with this week's guest, or seek out those services you've been considering for a while but haven't made the commitment to yet. If you are in the state of Iowa and are in need of mental or behavioral health counseling, give us a call at 1-800-531-4236. Enjoy the show.
Hello, and welcome back to You Need a Counselor podcast. My name is Dr. Julie Johnson. I am the president and founder here at Heart and Solutions. If you're in Iowa and you need mental health counseling, either through telehealth or at any of our 6 office locations, give us a call or visit our website at Heart and Solutions.
I'm Chrissa Hunt. I am one of the vice presidents at Heart and Solutions, and I am in charge of our behavioral health department. And this is our podcast, You Need a Counselor. So we are designed for people curious about counseling, but have barriers keeping them from experiencing the benefits of counseling. Our mission is to share stories about counseling, good, bad, and indifferent, and spread the message that everyone can benefit from mental health and behavioral health counseling services.
So our guest today joins us from Texas. We've got Eva ZobianWolf here with us today of Eva Zee Wellness. So Eva was a nurse in a previous life. She has now morphed into a mind-body specialist. She focuses on self-care for clients, on reducing stress levels for clients. She works with clients who have chronic illnesses, chronic pain, PTSD, just helping clients to bring more calm and balance into their lives. She uses trauma-informed care, which you guys know we love. She uses kindness, compassion, and non-judgmental statements in helping for her clients to learn how to use that same kindness, compassion, and non-judgmental statements when speaking with themselves and with others. So welcome, Eva Zee. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. This is really a pleasure to get the chance to talk with you both.
So now, how did you go from being a nurse to being a mind and body specialist?
Well, it was a many-step journey. One of the big things is that I have scoliosis. I've had scoliosis since I was 12, and was fortunate not to never need surgery, but it comes with chronic pain, and it's something I've been dealing with for my whole entire life. And in the process of being a nurse, I was an ICU nurse, so that's full care. We're doing everything for our clients. It was starting to kind of rear its ugly head a little bit in terms of more episodes of pain. And I sought out more yoga, and it was interesting because I decided I wanted to do more with the time off that I had. The kids were getting older. I really loved yoga. So I wanted to do that as something that I did on my off days. I wanted to teach yoga. Well, I met this amazing person who is an adaptive yoga therapist. And when I started working with her, got my 200-hour yoga teacher training and started working with clients privately that had chronic pain as well. What I saw was that people were having so many amazing benefits. And in the reasons why I went into the medical field were being implemented in more preventative type situation. It was giving them control. It was giving them self-agency. It was helping them to be able to lean into their unique body. But there's also such an amazing mind-body connection that really the medical field. I love the medical field. I love how we help people. But, let's face it, the medical system has kind of deviated from the whole mind and body are connected, and they're just now starting to really come back into that. It's been an almost 200-year process of us realizing that what happens in the mind happens in the body, and what's happening in the body is reflected in the mind. And so through that, I did a number of trainings, became an adaptive yoga therapist, and combined it with some other modalities that I do as well. And so that's now what I do full time, is working with people to help them utilize all of the resources that are around them so that they are living their life more fully themselves.
Awesome. So adaptive yoga therapist, what do you do? How's that different than like a normal, like typical yoga class that people might have attended?
It's very person centric. So there may be movement involved, but it may be more of tailoring and bringing mindfulness into all of the activities that they're doing in their daily life. So whether it's somebody that is very athletic, very flexible, very able to do a lot of movement, or it may be somebody who is recovering from a surgery or has had a long progression of a chronic illness, and flexibility and movement are incredibly challenging. There's still components. Yoga is only about 25% movement. All the rest of it is all mental, and the words we use, the thoughts that we have, the way that we interact with ourselves and then interact with others.
So it's bringing that mental piece of the yoga session, the yoga movements, into the real world, into changing out the dishwasher and hanging up laundry and all of those things we have to do already that do involve movement, and being able to bring that mental piece into those.
Absolutely. I talk quite a bit about living your yoga off the mat, and what we do on the mat is best used and most used when we step away from the mat. The mats are it's a space. It's a where we can go and we can be creative, but it's also a space where we can go and really turn deep inside of ourselves to be able to see what we're able to see in that moment. We weren't given instruction manuals as human beings, and some of us, grew in an environment where we were given lots of tools on how to be able to navigate different situations, different emotions, but a lot of us weren't. And as we go through life, we're faced with all of these challenges and obstacles, and some of us are facing these obstacles blindfolded and both hands tied behind our back. And it's just giving ourselves permission to be able to say, I'm doing the best that I can do better, but in this moment I'm doing the best that I can. And let me also learn how to handle the situation better the next time that I face this situation.
Yeah, I love that analogy. There are things in our society that we all kind of universally celebrate as learning moments in a child's life and throughout adulthood. So when a child says their first word, right, everybody in that family knows it. Everybody who is friends with that family knows it, right? And so we celebrate those kinds of milestones. We celebrate when they take their first step. We remember when they did that and what a big deal that is. But we don't celebrate the first time that they get an overwhelming flooding of emotions and make a conscious decision to go do something to process that emotion. that never ever is celebrated, right? We don't see Facebook updates on that. We don't see parties for that, right? We don't put those into our scrapbooks, but those are huge moments in the emotional development of a child. But we don't always know to look for it and to celebrate it and acknowledge it so that that child knows what a big deal that is. It's a difficult thing as an adult to cope with when we are flooded with overwhelming emotions. It's hard. It's hard to do. And part of that is it's hard to do because we haven't had that lifelong learning in those skills. So, a lot of people learn how to ride a bicycle, and it's a big deal when you ride a trike for the first time. And it's a big deal when you take the training wheels off. And it's a big deal, right, when you get bike brakes that are on the handlebars. And then it's a really big deal when you get gears on your bike, right? There's all these kind of exciting, oh, look, I'm moving up in doing this. But a lot of times with our emotions, we are out here going, I don't know how to ride a unicycle. I don't know how to do that. And so every time I have to get somewhere riding a unicycle, it's painful, it's challenging, it's difficult. Whereas if I had that kind of graduated learning that I have with a bicycle, then when I need to get somewhere on a bicycle, I can do it. It's not always easy, but I can do it. I know the mechanics of it. I know what to do, and I know what's worked before. So I just really love that analogy of, yeah, a lot of people are taught how to do that. A lot of people are not taught how to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, one of the things that really is challenging for folks is that we lock down in those situations where, we see there's an obstacle and stress comes in, we lock down, we tighten, and that residual tightness remains in the body. And the more obstacles that we face, each one of those times when we tightened, it builds on each other to where, you see people, they're walking around and they have, I call it the lurch walk, from the Addams family, where there's just so much rigidity in the body. That is a physical representation of what's going on inside of the nervous system, what's going on inside of the body. So movement, and I work with yoga, but it can be any type of movement, can help in that. The more we get into our body, the more we're able to release some of that tension. And this is why you guys know this is, in some types of movement, you will have a emotional response that is completely unrelated to the movement at the time, because we're releasing that built up, that pent up, emotional, energetic component that we've been holding on to for years. So combining movement really helps to be able to not just bring that flexibility and that adaptability into the body, but also bring that flexibility and adaptability into the mind as well.
And so you talked then about yoga as being part of seeing you as a mind body specialist. What else do people do when they come and see you? What are some things you guys work on?
Well, we work on utilizing kindness, compassion, and non-judgment. So one of the big components is being aware of what are the patterns that we have. My background is also in nursing, and I am a huge science geek. So I really love to bring the neuroscience component into the sessions and really talk about how it is that we develop patterns in our brain, and developing that awareness of what are the things that I'm saying, what are the things that I'm projecting, and how I'm creating almost a filter of how I look out onto the world. So instead of saying things like, I am depressed, saying things like, I feel depressed. It sounds, it's not, at first it sounds really, what's the difference? I don't understand what's the component, but it's projecting that I am, and you feel that in your body, you carry that in your body. Saying I feel means that feeling can change as well. And then we bring that into the body in terms of where are they feeling it in their body, and then we can incorporate movement in that area to, again, help with the release, to encourage flexibility in both areas.
Absolutely. We've talked about internal family systems. We've talked about parts theory, and really what you're talking about here with these filters, with these ingrained thoughts that have to do with identity, or these ingrained ideas that have to do with identity, and being able to externalize those ideas. So I have a phone. I am not a phone. I have feelings of anxiety. I am not anxious, right? So being able to say, okay, I have these feelings, and the Spanish language is so cool because, and I love it for these kinds of conversations, because in Spanish, I always thought it was interesting. You don't say I'm hungry. You say tienes hambre. You say I have hunger. You don't say I am hungry. And in English, we say "I am hungry," which is very identifying. But yeah, you don't say "I am tired." You say "tienes." You say "I have tiredness," right? And so you're able to then say, "No, who I am is who I am." These other pieces that come and go, hunger comes and goes and ebbs and flows. Feelings of depression come and go and ebb and flow. Feelings of, self anger at myself, or feelings of not being good enough, or feelings like not being well. Those feelings, they do ebb and flow, and they come and go. And sometimes we might be at a 2 on that scale. Sometimes we might be at a 5 on that scale, right? And it doesn't mean, oh, that's where I want to be, but being able to acknowledge that it does ebb and flow, and that there are things that we can practically do that allow us to be more consistently at a 5 than more consistently at a 2. And so being able to extend those things out and say, no, those are things that are separate from me. Because once it's part of me, I can't change it. And then what is the point of doing this kind of yoga? What is the point of going to therapy? What is the point of doing any of this stuff if I can't change it? Like, I can do 1,000 pull-ups, but I'm still going to be Asian, right? I'm still going to be the height that I am, right? There are these things that are like, those are things that are part of me, that I can't change. Whereas things like, okay, I feel worthless today. I'm so tired that I feel like everybody hates me, right? If I have that feeling, that is something that I can actively do something about, and that I can change. So I really like that kind of growth mindset that you're talking about there. I loved what you were saying about how we physically can see sometimes in ourselves or in others, that stress that we've got going on, that stuckness of stress and emotion, and whether it's in the shoulders, or whether it's in the posture, or whether we have open or closed body. Those things are so important, and it does just verifies all the time that connection between mind and body. It reminded me of, like, the phrases that we use sometimes commonly and we don't think about, right? Like when we say somebody is uptight, right? We say, oh, that person is uptight. Or we say something about the tightness of their butt, right? Oh, they're a tight butt, right? Whatever we say about them, because that's real, right? When we are stressed, when we are in perfectionism, when we are holding ourselves and others to those kinds of non-compassionate rules and regulations, we've got tightness literally in our body. So when we describe somebody as uptight, we don't necessarily mean like, oh, their muscles are very constricted. We mean emotionally, mentally, they're very uptight, and their behaviors that come from that. I also loved what you said about like energy getting, stuck. And because we haven't learned, like you said, how to process those overwhelming feelings, those uncomfortable feelings, that negative self-talk that we've got going on. If we haven't learned to process it, it does get stuck and it comes out in our physical being. And so I always say this about decluttering, but this is the same situation. When we don't know how to process it, it's like if we don't know how to flush a toilet. And so when we have those overwhelming feelings, when we have those traumatic experiences that get stuck and we don't know what to do with them, it's like just filling a toilet. And like you said, it keeps building on itself. And when we don't know how to flush a toilet, it just keeps building on itself. Whereas if we know, okay, this traumatic thing happened and I need to flush these pieces of it, we know how to flush that toilet and move them through. They still happened and they're still there, but we can move those pieces through that are not serving us. And same thing with the toilet. We can flush the toilet and move those pieces through that are no longer serving us.
Absolutely. And one of the areas in which I assist my clients is being able to recognize when their physiology, their body is trying to tell them something, trying to give them information. One of the things that I say is your body is always telling you, giving you feedback as to how you breathed, how you ate, how you slept, and how you moved yesterday. But also it gives us a information in terms of, I feel comfortable here. I feel safe here. I feel anxious here. I feel afraid here. But if we're not in tune with the conversation, the physiological conversation of our own body, then we don't know what that means. And so we either don't trust it, we don't know what it means, or we just ignore it. And again, it comes into, what do we feel we have control over? If I know that I don't have control over, Billy, Bob, and Mary, but I know I have control over me, then that gives me, it empowers me to say, I don't feel safe here. I don't feel comfortable here. I feel angry here. Well, what can I do? Well, I can leave. I can say, I'm not comfortable with this. Can we, change the topic or anything along those lines? But if we're so shut down, we're so tight that we're not hearing that information from our own body, hindsight's 2020. We all know that we've gotten into a relationship where we're just like, I saw all these red flags while I was dating this person, or before I went into this situation. Why didn't I see them at the time? Or why didn't I pay attention? Being in tune with our body and hearing those physiological indicators gives us more information. It gives us more tools. And when we trust in the information coming from our own body, well, then we make better choices. We make more informed choices. And if for some reason we're just, we're thinking, oh no, it's not going to be that bad, or it's, it'll be fine, we give ourselves kindness and compassion and non-judgment and navigate through the situation without beating ourselves up over it, and reminding ourselves that we're human and we all are going to have learning episodes. So it may not have moved us forward, but it provided some type of learning.
Yeah. So you mentioned like our body giving us like signs of like how yesterday went, and like we're feeling that in our body today. Can you give some examples of like what to look for and what to do about those signs when they are happening?
Oh, absolutely. Nurses are fantastic at this, because the schedules that we keep, the hours that we work, if you have ever been burning the candle at both ends, this is kind of an extreme example, but it's one that really sinks in with folks. If you've ever been burning the candle at both ends, just working nonstop, have a project going on, or working a bunch of overtime to save up for something or to pay off a bill, and you just think, I'll sleep I'll sleep next weekend. I'll be fine. I'm just going to keep pushing. I can drink that Monster. I can drink all that coffee, and I'll just, I'll eat another candy bar and I'll be fine. I'm going to just keep powering through. I don't need as much sleep. And each day your body gives you feedback and says, not real happy with this. I don't like this. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. And we just keep pushing past that. We have a finite amount of fuel and energy stores to be able to handle situations like that. Eventually, you wake up one morning and you don't even have the energy to reach over and turn off your alarm clock because you've exhausted all of your resources, your backup resources, and the backup resources. And your body has just said, you suck at this. We're shutting you down because we need time to heal. And we've all had that. We're like, I don't understand. I don't understand why I got sick. I don't understand why I don't have energy. I was fine. But our body is saying, no, we weren't fine. We were yelling at you. We were screaming and you wouldn't listen. So we took over.
There's a cartoon that's like, I think it's a woman. I don't know. It's a person. And then their body is saying like, we need, go for a walk. Like, we need you to drink water, please. You haven't drank water in 2 days. Like, please get some sleep, whatever, and then the person is like, oh, you want more iced coffee? Okay. And just does it. And I always think about that cartoon because that's so true and so funny. But yeah, like you said, like our body is screaming at us, telling us these things. And the thing is that we are told so often, not everybody, but so often as children, we are told our body is wrong our entire life, right? We need to go to the bathroom in kindergarten, but we can't. It's not the right time to go to the bathroom. Tell your body it's wrong. We're hungry in kindergarten. We're hungry in first grade, but it's not snack time. It's math time. Tell your body it's wrong. We're tired in the morning, but it's time to go to school. Tell your body it's wrong. And so we're told our entire lives, don't listen to those cues of your body, right? Like we're 6 or 7 years old, we're at a wedding, we are tired, we're exhausted, and we want to lay down. This is not the socially appropriate time to lay down. And so it's like, you need to tell your body it's wrong so that you can sit up in this chair and watch this wedding, right? And so we're told over and over and over, practically every single day, your body is wrong, tell it it's wrong, do this other thing instead of what your body is telling you to do. And we don't, as parents, we don't need to do that, right? Like I'm thinking about yesterday, my daughter, so she doesn't like always the camp food that's served at camp or the snacks, right? So I've been sending her snacks to go to camp. And we worked it out with the camp, like, hey, whenever she wants these like cherry tomatoes, like just let her have them, it's okay with me. Like, just let her have them whenever she wants. And that's worked out so well. At the same time, I, not on purpose, but, Vacation Bible Camp was in the evenings this week. And her drama camp is in the day this week. And so this week she's got camp all day until 4, and then she's got camp from 6 to 8. And she came home yesterday and she was so tired. And she was like, I don't want to go to camp, right? And that's so hard because I know she loves it. It's only these 2 days, right? And so it's like the same things we do to ourselves, because if it were me, I would also still go. I would go. I like doing it. I want to do it. It's only these days, right? And what you talked about, we just press ourselves on. And then when I see myself doing it to my child, it takes that moment to say, okay, you don't have to go to camp tonight, right? Like, you can stay home and rest tonight and you've got camp tomorrow. It's fine. But it's counterintuitive. Like, it doesn't feel right to do. And it feels like, in parenting, there's a lot of stigma with that. There's a lot of stigma with listening to your children and, well, you're spoiling your child. You're not making them go to Bible camp. You're not making them do the things they're supposed to do. It's difficult to make those decisions, I think, as a parent for your child, let alone for yourself. So I just want to say, like, I love what the messages that you are sharing with your clients, because I think they're so important, not only for ourselves, but in terms of thinking about how we are raising, in schools, how we're raising our children. And are we raising them to say, no, I hear that you are tired, so I am going to accept that your body is right, versus can't, like, your body is wrong. Tell your body it's wrong. Go do this thing that you're supposed to do.
And that's a huge, important part of self-care, mental health, wellness, is being able to recognize when your body needs rest, and to be able to say, not coming into work today, I have to, being able to take those rest days, or being able to schedule those rest days, or to just say no to a commitment, and to say that unapologetically without having to explain it, and not having that guilt and shame. Because for a lot of us, saying I'm not coming into work, we feel guilt, especially for nurses. We feel guilty because we're leaving the unit short. We're letting our coworkers down. We're letting our patients down. And so we push through. The problem with that is, which version of us is showing up day after day after day? Is it the kind, compassionate version of ourselves? Is it the fully alert and focused version of ourselves? And in turn, the facilities are promoting working overtime, working back-to-back shifts for multiple days in a row, and doing that every single week. So we live in a society that's encouraging us to be more busy versus productive. And that's a huge, I mean, we know in the last 3-4 years, this has been an issue that has bubbled to the surface, and hopefully, because everything that has happened, we're getting that turnaround of, let's focus on having more of those days, having those built into the time off that people get, and the more progressive institutions, the more progressive administrations in all areas and all professions are starting to incorporate wellness programs. They're starting to incorporate mental health days, and just being able to say, there's some hospital facilities where there's now something called a code lavender, where if a nurse is emotionally overwrought for whatever reason, is able to say, I need minutes, I need 20 minutes, I need to step away, and have somebody take over my patient so that they're taken care of, but I am so stressed that I can't take care of my patients in this moment. And that level of stress has existed for decades in nursing. But in the last 3-4 years, it has really been exacerbated to the point where there's not a single medical professional that is working out there right now that isn't overstressed. It's impossible to say that nurses were stressed before. Nurses are massively stressed now, and it's affecting all of us. And that is one of the big areas that I'm trying to focus on, is helping nurses to be able to take care of themselves in a way that allows them to either stay in the profession or to move into a different area, so that they're taking care of themselves before things are irreversible.
I'm sure with like COVID, the last few years have been even worse for nurses also, and like keeping nurses employed even. Um, yeah, I love that code lavender thing you talked about too. And you talked about, or you've mentioned that part of what you do as a mind body specialist is helping to customize like self-care routines for people. Can you give us some like ideas or suggestions that you might give some of your clients that you work with?
Absolutely, absolutely. First, one of the best things is stepping outside, just finding ways to incorporate more time outdoors, and giving yourself moments to pause, giving yourself moments where you are able to incorporate some type of breathing exercise. The exhale is directly tied to the parasympathetic nervous system. It's the cooling portion of the nervous system. And so leaning into those moments and really finding that longer exhale. One of my favorite phrases is the magic is in the exhale, because it does bring that cooling and calming, and it signals the muscles to soften. So we're releasing some of that tension every time we do a longer exhale. And whenever somebody tells me, oh, I'm not flexible, I can't do yoga, my first response is, but are you breathing? Because if you're breathing, you can do yoga. Um, and so utilizing resources by bringing mindfulness into an activity that you do every day, whether it's brushing your teeth, washing the dishes, uh, coloring, knitting, running, anything that you do can have a mindfulness component to it. Having your cup of coffee in the morning, bringing mindfulness into that, where you don't have to do a 20-minute meditation or a 45-minute meditation, or a 45-minute or 90-minute yoga session. You can bring all of those components into smaller sections, smaller moments of your day, and they will have more of an impact if you're doing them on a regular basis. And so I'm all about using all of the resources. I joke about that because I'm 5'3", and so I have to stand on a step stool for just about anything. So I always joke that it makes sense that I want to use all my resources because that's what I've been doing my whole life.
I also stand on a step stool. I have three of them, and only one of them is my child's. So, are there any very short ones, maybe like a 1 or 2 minute or 3 minute one that we could maybe try out with you, that maybe you could lead us through a breathing technique that we could just kind of model here?
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so one of my favorites is to bring people into their body by having them place one hand on their heart and one hand on their belly. And then just stay here for a moment and just pay attention to where you are breathing currently. If you are breathing up in your chest, then your mind is probably very busy. And if you're breathing into your solar plexus area, then you may be more even. And if you're breathing all the way down into the lower belly, then you may be more calm. However you are breathing, again, using kindness, compassion, and non-judgment. And if what you're wanting is to be more centered, bring in more of a balanced breathing and just focus on breathing into that particular area. If you're wanting to be even more relaxed, focus on bringing your breath all the way down into your belly. And so connecting your hand to your belly and having your hand at your heart, I invite you to breathe in and slowly breathe out. One more time, taking a breath in and slowly breathing out. One more time, breathing in and slowly breathing out. And if it's available to you for a moment, you can close your eyes or develop a soft gaze or focus on a point directly in front of you. And just take a moment to bring your attention and focus to inside of your body. Just observing how you feel in this moment. Becoming aware and taking one more breath in and slowly sigh it out. And bringing yourself back to the space where you are. Taking a moment to bring a little bit of gratitude into your heart space. Gratitude for the amazing person that you are.
Thank you so much for that. That was wonderful. And I think such a great demonstration of, yeah, we didn't have to be up on one arm or planking, right? We didn't have to be doing any of that stuff. We were sitting here. I'm sitting on the floor. We're just sitting here, and that with those small movements and just the movement of breathing itself. How beautiful. So thank you so
Absolutely,
much for doing
absolutely.
that.
Oh, I'm happy to do that. It's one of my favorite things to do is leading people through different breathing exercises. In yoga, they're called pranayama. So if you ever go to a yoga class and they say we're going to do a pranayama, that's that mental mind body connection component. And we're using the breath to change the energy within the body.
Yeah, I love that. Cool. So if you could give a suggestion to somebody on the fence about starting counseling or reaching out to you to do mind body, I don't know the verb for that, but to see you for a mind body specialist, what suggestion might you give?
I would say, there are lots of folks out there. Connect with somebody that you feel a connection with and utilize your resources, because as human beings, we can all evolve and grow to be a deeper, more whole version of ourselves. And having somebody to assist us in that, if you're wanting to train for a marathon, you get a running coach. If you're wanting to learn how to strength train, you go see a physical trainer. If you're recovering from an injury, you go to physical therapy. Finding out how to get more tools to be a stronger, more full version of yourself sometimes requires having somebody to be that coach for you, to assist you in that. And whether it's a counselor or a mind body specialist, and I don't think that they, like, you can do both. You can go to a counselor and go to a mind body specialist. And sometimes working with a mind body specialist helps you to unlock things to say, you know what, this is deeper than I want to do on my own. I need a counselor. And I think that that is something that should be spoken out loud. The more that we say that, it's something that everyone can benefit from. Regardless of where you are in your life, we can always grow and evolve into a more fully whole version of ourselves. We can always expand and learn. We're a student of ourselves. And in doing that, sometimes we need a mentor to help us along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. It's going to stick in my head that counseling and coaching are like a step stool, because when you said, utilize your resources, that's so so true for people who are 5'4" and under. We we need those steps. Chrissa doesn't have this problem. She probably doesn't have any step stools in her house. But when we're 5'4" and under, man, we need those step stools around, right? So that utilizing those resources, and that there are different resources for different things. And so, like I said, I've got 3 step stools. One of them is higher, one of them is more mobile, and then the one for my daughter is Dora the Explorer themed. Okay, so they all serve different purposes, and that's exactly right about counseling, coaching, and then like a fitness trainer as well. And so they're not mutually exclusive. They are a team that you bring around you. So you've got your mind body coach, and then you've got your counselor to focus in on that mind aspect of it. You've got your physical trainer, your personal trainer at the gym to focus on your physical aspect, or your physical therapist, focus on your physical side of it. And then you've got your mind body connection coach in the middle there, working with you as well. So each different purposes, but all working together as a team. And so it is wonderful to have you on, Eva. Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you for having me. This was fantastic. I'm Eva ZobianWolf of Eva Zee Wellness, and I need a counselor.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. If you are looking for a mind-body coach, go ahead and look up Eva Zee Wellness at www.evazwellness. EVA, Eva like Eva in Wall-E. Eva Zee, Z-E-E, wellness.com. You can also find Eva on Instagram, Facebook, and on YouTube at Eva Zee Wellness. You can also find her, if you want to email her, it's info@Eva Zee Wellness, EVAZEE wellness.com. And if you are in Iowa looking for mental health counseling, go ahead and check us out at www.heartandsolutions.net.
All right, perfect. Well, I'm Chrissa Hunt.
And I'm Julie Johnson, and we need a counselor.
So do you.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the You Need a Counselor podcast. We are so grateful that you're here. Now, we want to hear from you. Text us or give us a call at 515-650-3231. You can also find and connect with You Need a Counselor on Facebook and Instagram. If you've enjoyed today's show, please take a moment to like, review, or leave a comment, as all of these things help others to find and benefit from the podcast as well. If you're in the state of Iowa and interested in mental health counseling or behavioral health intervention services, give us a call at 800-531-4236. And if you're a provider seeking play therapy CEUs, you can find us on patreon.com/youneedatraining. We'll see you for the next episode, Sunday at 5.